Mike Lindell had his phone seized by the FBI. Now, I figure my 2 cents on this issue will revolve around exactly why he had his phone seized in the first place and how he's reacting to it. So let's take a look at his announcement video about having his phone seized and see what he had to say. Mid-September 2022.
Today, the FBI, you're going to hear this, and you're probably already hearing it in the news. The FBI came after me and took my phone. They surrounded me at a Hardee's and took my phone that I run all my business, everything with. They could have just, what they've done is weaponize the FBI. It's disgusting. I don't have a computer. Everything I do have that phone, everything.
Well, that sounds kind of like a you problem. You know, I have very little sympathy for this guy. Let me tell you why he had his phone seized, okay? There's a woman named Tina Peters. This is her right here on screen. She was a Mesa County, Colorado clerk that handled some voting-related stuff, handled the voting machine things or whatever, and she leaked private voter information, private voter data to Mike Lindell after the 2020 election. As a result, Tina Peters has been charged with 7 felonies. 7 felonies. And there's been an investigation on Tina Peters for a while now, and we're going to get into all of that in a second. We'll cover it all in a second, but I wanted to give you a little bit of background on it. So apparently, the reason that Mike Lindell had his phone seized by the FBI was because of his dealings with Tina Peters, basically, and the investigation into her. Keep listening.
Everything I do up that phone, everything was on there, and they told me not to tell anybody. Here's an order, don't tell anybody. Okay, I won't.
That doesn't sound right. I've never heard of the FBI ever ordering anybody not to tell anyone that they seized their property. I've never heard of that before. I mean, maybe. I'm not a lawyer. It's just very suspect. And if there's one thing I've learned about Mike Lindell, it's to not trust a word out of the guy's mouth. So I'm very skeptical here.
Buddy, okay, I won't. Well, I am. So, there you go.
Yeah, how could they possibly enforce that? Don't tell anybody. And he obviously blew the lid right off of that. So what are the consequences now? Are they going to arrest him? I can't imagine the FBI told him not to tell anyone. So anyway, who is Tina Peters exactly? Let's talk about it. Like I said, she was a Mesa County clerk back in 2020 who leaked private voter data to Lindell. She got herself in some hot water over that, was being investigated. And while being investigated, she ran for Secretary of State. She was running for Secretary of State, which is an even higher position and controls the elections in an even more broad way. So it would honestly be completely disastrous if she won. Now, she lost. She did lose that election, but I think she got like 6% of the vote or something. But watch this clip. This is from NBC News, I think, and they were talking about the whole thing, about her running and all of it. Listen to this. April 6, 2022.
For Republican Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters, she faces felony charges accused of tampering with her county's election equipment. She also has to answer to an ethics complaint, accusing her of accepting more money in gifts for her legal defense than an elected leader is allowed by the state constitution. Support for Peters comes in the form of the Pillow Guy.
Mr. Lindell, how much have you raised for Tina Peters' legal defense fund?
I just put all the money in myself.
How much is that?
I don't know. I probably put in 3, 4, 5, maybe $800,000 of my own money.
Holy dude, that is so much money. $800,000 into her legal defense fund? That is insane. It makes sense because, you know, the voter data that he had came from Tina Peters, so.
Unless you're a close friend or family member of an elected leader, you're limited in how much you can gift.
You can only give someone a gift of $65 per calendar year.
Uh-oh. Sounds like Lindell just dug a hole for himself, right? And Peters did. They came up and asked Lindell, how much did you gift to Tina Peters? And he said all of it. Oh, God.
Jane Feldman was once executive director of the Independent Ethics Commission. Now she's part of the legal team in the ethics complaint against Peters. And if Peters receives more than she's allowed, she could be fined twice the amount. So if Lindell really gave her $800,000 to pay for her legal defense, the fine could be expensive.
That's $1.6 million.
Ouch. Oh, that's painful. God, they can't help themselves to save their own lives, can they? They cannot just keep their mouths shut. They have to talk to the media and scream about being persecuted and all kinds of other nonsense, don't they? Jesus.
But there is wiggle room if Lindell is a close friend. Except listen to how he answered a question about flying Peters around on his personal plane last year.
I give rides from people all over the country. I had never met Tina Peters. That's what the plane ride you're talking about. She came to the Cyber Symposium with a group from Colorado. I picked people up. I invited all 50 states. All 50 states were represented.
Just keep digging that hole, Mike. Keep digging that hole.
There's your answer. Another stupid question by a stupid journalist.
God, I love it how he is wrecking his reputation and his chance of digging himself out of possible serious legal jeopardy or serious fines. And he's calling a reporter an idiot while doing so. I just eat this up, dude.
Journalist.
But here's why it's not a stupid question.
If you had just met her, you weren't a close friend of hers.
I just met her that day. Another dumb question.
God, I love everything about it, man. I am eating this up. He just dug himself a deep, deep hole and is calling people around him idiots as he does it.
Question.
If he said he had just met her and they had no prior relationship, it's very hard to argue that he was a personal friend.
So anyways, that's who Tina Peters is, and that's her relationship with Mike Lindell. I guess they don't really have much of a relationship. Outside of her breaking the law for him and then him paying for her legal defense after getting caught. She actually got arrested recently. Early March 2022, she got arrested on those 7 felony charges for stealing voter data and all that stuff. I mean, I played this last week when I talked about Tina Peters, but I just find something about this deeply consoling and enjoyable to watch somebody who flagrantly broke the law and violated people's rights to get arrested. I just love it. I eat it up. I enjoy it so much. So we're going to sit here and watch it again.
Let go of me! Let go of me! Let go of me!
Yell a little bit louder, Tina. Maybe it'll work next time.
Oh no! Let go of me! It hurts! Let go of me!
That's a resisting arrest. Is she facing a charge for resisting arrest by trying to kick the cops? Of course not, because she's a white woman in power.
Give me my key! Oh, stop it! Sorry. No, let go of me! Yes, you are, Caleb. Give me my key to my car! Give me my key to my car! Give me my key to my car! Give it to me! Give me!
You know, the real travesty is those boots that the cop is wearing. Anyway, point is, she was arrested not too long ago. And the whole Tina Peters thing, that is the reason why Lindell's phone was seized by the FBI. Because of this investigation evolving into what it is now, basically. She eventually went to jail, spent the night, and then went on Steve Bannon's show to cry about how badly she was treated in the jail. Ugh. She had to eat the most disgusting food, and she had to sit on the most paper-thin mattress and didn't even get a pillow. She didn't give a shit about prisoners' rights before. In fact, I venture as far as to say she doesn't give a shit now. What she cared about was how comfortable she was when she was in there. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is, Lindell is wrapped up in all of this, and that's why they seized his phone. So, watch this. Mid-September 2022. This is Lindell's reaction to having his phone taken. He went up on Steve Bannon's show to talk about it. Listen to this.
Going to be with at the president, our real president's rally in Ohio on Saturday. I'm going to speak there about this. Now we have a unique opportunity, everybody, to spread the word, get the word out. Maybe Steve, that just once that the media would go, hey, Mike, why did they do this to you?
No, we know why they did it to you. We know exactly why they did it. Because you stole private voter data. Tina Peters stole private voter data for you. We know what's happening here.
Mike, why did they do this to you? Could it be because I have all the evidence and because I want to get rid of voting machines and electronic computers in our elections?
So persecuted, right? I found out recently he's not a billionaire. I thought he was. He's a millionaire. He's got, what, $300 to $600 million, I think. I don't know where I got the idea he was a full-blown billionaire. But anyway, dude's a multi-millionaire, 100 millionaire. And he's the persecuted one. Absurd. Absurd from the ground up.
I mean, there's a reason they're doing this. I didn't do anything wrong.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He took private voter data. That's wrong. That's illegal. And people are paying the price for it. They needed his phone. He's lucky they didn't arrest him. They needed his phone to aid in this investigation. And so they took it legally. It was completely 100% legal. Something that wasn't included in the original message or whatever, Mike Lindell actually refused to give his phone to the FBI when they wanted to take it. They pulled him over at a Hardee's or whatever, told him to give him the phone. And he said, "Are you going to arrest me? I'm not giving you anything." And they said, "We're not going to arrest you, but we're going to take the phone." I assume if he refused to give the phone, just flat out didn't do it, they would have put him in handcuffs, searched him for the phone, taken it, and then removed the handcuffs. I'm assuming that's probably how it would have gone. He ended up calling his attorney. They allowed him to call the attorney, and his attorney advised him to give them the cell phone. So he did eventually give him the phone. He didn't have an option. They were going to take it one way or another. So anyway.
There's a reason they're doing this. I didn't do anything wrong.
Of course you did, but here's the beauty.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did actually do things wrong. The fact that he doesn't even realize that he's done anything wrong, does he not realize, really? He really doesn't realize what he's done so far. Is deeply disturbing to me. How does he not know what he's done so far is wrong, illegal? Does he really believe that this is persecution? I think with some people, some of the cases, like with Bannon, I think Bannon knows exactly what's going on, and he's doing it intentionally. All the lies that he's telling are intentional and calculated. I don't believe for a second that Bannon is a useful idiot or some gullible sucker who fell into this trap of believing that Trump really did win the election and all that. I don't believe that for a second. I think Bannon knows exactly what's going on. But Lindell? I think Mike Lindell is a true believer. I really do. I think there are definitely some mental issues happening here with Lindell. And people like Bannon and others are taking advantage of that mental illness, unfortunately. Before we continue, I just wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. Or you can check out my Telltale Unfiltered channel. I go through long-form, unhinged sermons from all kinds of people, from Hank Kunneman to Greg Locke to Jehovah's Witnesses. So give it a look. Links are in the description. Okay, now back to the video. He didn't stop there. He's been doing a whole media tour. He's using this opportunity of the FBI taking his phone. He's been turning it into a megaphone, effectively, and screaming from the hilltops all kinds of stuff. So listen to what he says next. Again, mid-September 2022. Goes out on Bannon, and he has a whole plan to get this phone back.
Some of the best lawyers in the country, Alan Dershowitz, Andrew Parker, Kurt Olson, amongst others. What can we do with what happened with this seizure of my phone, this FBI corruption? And we are suing, as you're hearing it here first, everybody, we're suing the United States government and the FBI.
Great. File as many lawsuits as you want. I'm perfectly fine with that. I couldn't possibly care less.
And this isn't just to get the phone back. This is my First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights were broken in the constitutional right. And
now the first, which ones did he say? The First Amendment is freedom of speech. He's allowed to say whatever he wants without being censored. Now, I hear you asking, how is the FBI seizing a cell phone from somebody a violation of his First Amendment rights? The answer is he believes that this was political retaliation against him for saying things that they don't like. In reality, the FBI heavily leans right-wing. First of all, it's run by somebody who Donald Trump appointed, Christopher Wray, and it has absolutely nothing to do with what he's said. It was actually related to the Tina Peters case. That's why they took the phone. So First Amendment right violation, that's completely wrong. It's out the window. What was the other?
Rights were broken by the FBI. And this isn't just to get the phone back. This is my First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment.
Okay, the Fourth Amendment right is the right against unreasonable search and seizure, which means he has the right to not have something taken from him or not have his person searched or his home or car or whatever else searched unless there's good reason. There was good reason. There's a Tina Peters investigation going on right now where she passed private voter data to this guy. So that's simply wrong also. There was probable cause. There was reason for them. There's enough reason for them to search him that a judge was willing to sign off on a search warrant. This wasn't even probable cause. The FBI went through the process of going through the courts and everything. So it wasn't a First Amendment violation, wasn't a Fourth Amendment violation, and then the last one he said was Fifth Amendment, I believe.
This is my First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights were...
Fifth Amendment is the right against self-incrimination in a court of law. So if you're under oath and you are testifying in a court of law, you have the right to plead the Fifth Amendment. You don't have to, if you're asked a question on the stand and the answer to that question would put you in legal jeopardy, you don't have to answer the question. You can say, I plead the Fifth Amendment. I don't want to answer that question, or I can't answer that question. And it can't be held against you. It can't, your guilt cannot be assumed from it or anything in a court of law. That's how that works. So First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, and Fifth Amendment rights were not, by any stretch of the imagination, violated for Mike Lindell. He is completely full of it, as if we didn't already know that.
Broken in the constitutional right, and this needs to go everywhere. We're not going to put up with this. We're not going to be the Gestapo like in Nazi Germany. Steve, this is we're being proactive. I was on the phone with these attorneys. I said, no, I want to sue. What can we do? We got all the lawyers on the phone. They looked up all these statutes. We're going to go to places where no man has gone before. This will set a precedent. This has to stop. Nobody gets to bash people's door down and you get 40 seconds to answer your door. Nobody gets to corner and take a phone away of a private citizen, their company phone, so and their hearing aids, everything else. Everything I had was in that phone of all these businesses.
His hearing aids were in the phone? What? Does he even wear hearing aids? What's he talking about here? Look, I understand that's very frustrating. I would be lost without my phone. I would be a mess, dude. Oh my God. How would I even handle that? Because I have so much connected to my phone, including like my logins for all of my stuff and everything. But I've never actually worried about the FBI like seizing my phone because I've never broken federal laws that would warrant them seizing my phone. I am a political commentator. I come out here and talk about politics all the time. And I've been doing it since the Trump years. I'm 100% sure I've said things that the government doesn't like up to now. The government so far is not acting on political dissidents in the United States. I can see a time when that happens at some point in 10, 15, 20 years, maybe, if things keep devolving into fascism the way that they are right now. We aren't even close to that. Mike is just desperately trying to blame anybody but himself for his mistakes. He refuses to accept responsibility for the mistakes that he's made, for the laws that he has violated, for the rights that he has taken away from others. He wants to complain about the FBI taking away or violating his First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. They didn't, but Mike did violate other people's rights, their right to privacy, by stealing private voter data and broadcasting it all over his website. This guy has no self-awareness, and it's disgusting.
One of all these businesses, My Pillow, My Store, Frank's Speech, passwords to be able to do money wires that I can't do right now. Those aren't in any cloud. I mean, this has got to stop, Steve, and we're going
Well, first of all, that's your fault that you didn't have any kind of backup to this stuff. And second of all, it's your fault because you broke federal laws and stole private data. You should have backed your stuff up, and you shouldn't have violated people's rights so flagrantly. I mean, the dude has been on a media tour lately. Now, this clip is from Lindell TV, his TV network or news network or whatever you want to call it, the Lindell Report. And he's just losing his mind at the fact that they took his phone. Look, I get it. I'd be upset over it too. But he has no one to blame but himself. Listen to what he said on his Lindell TV show here.
Well, anyway, what have we become as a nation when you got, like I told him, like My Pillow, employee owned, and they get attacked and have to sit and worry about.
Wait, employee owned? My Pillow? Is it a worker co-op? I thought it's an incorporated company. 2009, 2004 to 09, they were sold through Lindell's Night Moves, Minnesota LLC. Okay, so it was an LLC up until recently. It's not a worker co-op. It's not employee owned at all. What is he even talking about? It's Mike Lindell owned. Is it a publicly traded company? No, it's a privately owned company, and it's owned by Mike Lindell as far as I can tell. It's not employee owned. See, this is another example of Mike Lindell trying to paint everybody else as the victim. If you don't care about me, then maybe you should care about the employees. He's trying to paint as many victims as he possibly can when he was the one victimizing other people. That's why we are here. You can't steal people's information and use it for nefarious purposes and then cry when you face consequences for your own actions.
Owned, and they get attacked and have to sit and worry about
Talking about the employees.
Have to sit and worry about billion-dollar lawsuits. They go home, they have families to feed. They're Democrats, liberals, Republicans, conservatives, Hispanic, black, Asian, white. We're all like one big family. And he goes, well, how do your employees take that? I mean, how are they taking it? I said, we're trying to get by. We've lost hundreds of millions of dollars because of cancel culture and you media.
No, they've actually lost hundreds of millions of dollars because Mike Lindell has burned every bridge that he has by spreading as many conspiracy theories as he possibly can, and by stealing private voter data, by flagrantly violating the law consistently. Every part of this is Mike Lindell's fault. Every part. But he wants to paint himself as the victim, as he victimizes other people.
So culture and you media people attacking. And you attack people so even judges are afraid to make a ruling. They kick things down the thing to standing, this horrible thing called standing. They just kick the can for standing.
Oh my God, I love it. He's criticizing standing now. If you're unfamiliar, standing is a legal concept that's existed since, the 1400s at least. The idea is the person that was injured by something is the person that has to file the lawsuit, basically, or they have to be involved, or they have to be named in the lawsuit. So you get a can of Star-Kissed tuna, and you discover that the can of tuna is completely empty. Like, there's no tuna in there. You bought this can of tuna, and it's just gone. There's nothing in it. I didn't buy that can of tuna. I didn't spend my money on that tuna, so I can't sue Star-Kissed for selling empty cans of tuna. The person who purchased the empty can of Star-Kissed tuna is the person that has to file the lawsuit, or the person who has to be involved in the lawsuit or whatever, like a lawyer can file for them. That's what standing is. If you aren't injured by something, if you aren't the one receiving remedy or restitution or whatever, then you can't file the lawsuit. That's what standing is. So Mike Lindell is criticizing the concept of standing. The concept of standing is foundational to our court system. It would be very different from what it is if standing didn't exist, in ways you wouldn't even expect. It affects our legal system in ways you wouldn't even expect. It's deeply ingrained in the legal system, and it goes all the way back to like England in the 1400s or something like that. I don't even know how old it is now. Well, Mike Lindell is just losing his mind over the concept of standing because he wants to sue all machines, right? You guys remember him saying he wants to sue machines? It's a meme at this point.
I've been working on it 5 months, and we're doing a class action. Actually, I'm announcing it here. I announced it on my program.
Well, announce it already.
Y'all watch frankspeech.com.
Oh, he's got to give that plug.
Keep watching. But it's a class action lawsuit against all machines.
So the question is, who was injured by these machines? Who has standing to actually sue these machines? I mean, can you even sue machines? There is some legal precedent for the idea that you can sue inanimate objects, like civil forfeiture, where police basically just take money that you have in your pocket and put it in their pocket. That process of civil forfeiture is basically like to receive the money back, you basically have to sue the money. So there's some kind of a weird thing with it. Anyway, the concept of suing inanimate objects isn't unheard of, but you have to have standing to be able to sue something like that, or anybody at all. That's what standing is. And this guy is so upset at the concept of standing, because who the hell is injured by machines like this, that he's losing his mind over standing for, like, nonsensically.
This horrible thing called standing. They just kick the can for standing. But
God, he's ridiculous. Everything about this guy is just ridiculous.
But other cases they're pushing through that are so corrupt and so evil, like going after a gal that just does her.
Yeah, anyway, that's Mike Lindell, dude. I'm sorry, man. This is 100% his doing, his fault from top to bottom. All the way down the line, he made every bit of this happen. I know that it must suck to lose your phone. Like, I'd be in bad shape if I lost my phone. Because, trying to run a business and all that stuff, I'd be in bad shape, man. But you know whose fault that is? Yours. It's your fault. Not Tina Peters'. Not Owen Morgan's, not Donald Trump's, not Joe Biden's. Take some responsibility for your actions. I mean, you are in the party of personal responsibility, right? Take some responsibility, Mike. If you disagree with anything I've said, let me know in the comments or on Twitter at TelltaleAtheist. Polyester shellfish. The fifth also includes the right to due process and protection from double jeopardy. Right. I appreciate you mentioning that. I completely forgot about that. Some courts have even ruled your cell phone password is covered by the fifth, and you can't be compelled to provide it. That's true. But if they get into the phone without the password, then, it is within legal limits, I believe. Which, it's debatable whether that should be allowed or not. But either way, like I said, Mike made every part of this happen, and his First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights were not violated by the FBI getting a search warrant for something. They had a search warrant for his cell phone and seizing that item. He did not have his rights violated in all of that. I showed my outline the other day on stream, but this is what it looks like. I write these outlines like a couple days before I do the stream, and I just kind of bold the titles, and then I put specific points down that I want to hit. So this is the first sentence that I'll say right here, and it kind of gets me into a movement to help me figure out where to go next with it. This is this is supposed to remind me of which video I'm talking about in the brackets here. And this is the idea that I want to express about it. So anyway, first sentence will be Mike Lindell had his phone seized by the FBI. We'll see where it goes from there.